Hello, wonderful viewers. How are we all? Today, tonight, wherever you are in the world, it's morning here in Australia. I think around 8:30, and I've got a full day planned. But first, I thought I'd jump on and have a look at what's happening with the impeachment inquiry, and also just to follow up every 48 hours. You're getting a bombshell. We now know Pompeo was in on the call. It just keeps going, and of course the one that hits close to home here is that Trump asked our Australian Prime Minister for dirt. Now, I just want to quickly outline our Australian Prime Minister for those that don't know. He only won this last election with a one-seat majority. So I wouldn't call it a resounding mandate. And if he throws his alliances toward Trump, who eventually goes down for alleged corruption or whatever, acting unlawfully in any way, and there's a change of government, Scott Morrison is tethering his fortunes to the Titanic. So he hasn't come out and said too much that I can find regarding his help or his promise of help to Trump. The Australian government did undertake to do what they could to assist Barr's inquiry into his own intelligence agencies. It's quite diabolical, isn't it? Imagine if an Australian Prime Minister was running around overseas, or his Attorney General was running around overseas to the Americans to say, could you please investigate ASIO, that's our equivalent of your CIA, so that we can try and debunk a special counsel's finding for political gain. There would be uproar in Australia. So this Prime Minister is on a fairly slippery slope if he decides to do too much. I would say that the original, I wouldn't call it a whistleblower, the original lead that came in relation to the fact that the Trump campaign may have been collaborating, we'll just call it that, with the Russians came from our foreign minister at the time, Alexander Downer, who was actually one of those royalty members of our Conservative Party. His family goes right back in his home state. Somebody that is the son of a politician and the son of a politician, and children going into politics, very staunch conservative. So I don't think that Trump will be too successful if he's trying to dig up dirt where there is no dirt. Okay, so let's get going with I wanted to address that. We can see what the Australian Prime Minister talked about, but I want to start with Pompeo. Pompeo, of course, it's now been uncovered. I might add, you've got wonderful reporting going on at the moment. Washington Post, New York Times breaking these stories, Wall Street Journal. It's a bit of a rush to see who can break this. They know that there's change in the air, and they want to get the story first. And Trump would be aware of that media frenzy. So, okay, let's have a look at Pompeo. What was Pompeo's role? I think that's where we'll start. What was Pompeo's role in the Ukrainian call, in advising Donald Trump, and really collaborating with Donald Trump in order to dig this dirt, quid pro quo, on Trump's political opponent? Quid pro quo. Surely Pompeo would have been aware of that. What was his role in this call? What was his role? To a certain extent, he was a minder. And we can see we've got the 10 of Wands. Okay, so he was there. I think I saw Hillary Clinton being interviewed saying that the Secretary of the State Department, or the State Department in general, would have been advising the president, and also there would have been a lot of talking points, submissions from all sorts of co-interested departments before that call took place. But as we know, Trump kind of free hands it, doesn't he? So we've got this Ten of Wands here, carrying a burden, challenged by the communication. Okay, so you can't see inside Pompeo's head, but he certainly understands the gravity of the situation now, and he understands it's going to be like pushing mud uphill. That particular communication. There would have been some surprises in that call for Pompeo. Okay, I'm not absolving him. I'm just saying that perhaps he had a smarter head than Trump did at the time. So let's have a look. And we know the White House tries to manage Donald Trump. We've got the Knight of Wands. The plan. He understood there was a plan in place. Where his surprise would have been in the way that Trump phrased the call, in the actual words that Trump used, showing that there was a plan in place at the time of that call. In the past, we've got the money, withholding the money. And so this was the carrot that was dangled over Ukraine. The potential, okay, or the issue. This can sometimes be the issue in this position in the Celtic cross. The Emperor. The Emperor was in control, not Mike Pompeo. Okay. Immediate future for Pompeo, he certainly is going to be embattled. And really, there's no way out of it, which is why we've got this Ten of Wands here for Pompeo. Over the top of the reading is Trump himself, the dictator who really can't be controlled. Okay. Right now we've got the Hermit. Pompeo's under investigation and he's reasonably isolated as a result. The environment that has created, he will be receiving help from Bill Barr. This is the Six of Pentacles. And this could also be trying to also hide, because the Hermit is an introspective, not an extrovert, trying to hide records of, and we've got a lot of records that he may be trying to keep secret. Yeah. Okay, we've got the High Priestess, the fear that the secrets will be known. Okay, and we've got the Page of Pentacles suggesting that there will be a news coming forward. He won't be able to hold everything back. Now, the Ten of Pentacles is the Trump organisation, and this keeps coming forward. And this bombshell, this surprise. It takes me back to my October reading where similar cards came forward. Now, this has come up in Pompeo's spread. So I've got to take a bit of a leap here and suggest to you that Pompeo certainly knew about the plan to withhold the money. He did not know that Trump was going to express it in the way that he has expressed it. He was unable to control Trump on that call. He was a little bit surprised. He is in an untenable position now, Pompeo, because he knew about this. He's going to try and withhold information, but because the High Priestess is in the hopes and fears, it's suggesting that this could be a blind hope, that he won't be able to do that, because it's suggesting at the end of the day in the outcome position that this information, particularly around the money and the allocation, is actually, there's going to be documentation there as to why it was held up in some way. We've got the Trump organisation coming into the frame, and I like to think the tarot is one step ahead of me. At the end of the day, what will bring down all of Trump's enablers is the fact that the information will eventually come out, if we had a record of the Putin and Trump call, around Trump, the businessman, and his ties to Russia. And a glimmer of that is actually going to come out this month, I do believe. Okay, I hope I'm right. Base of the pack, we've got the deals, the sweet deals, and here is Putin yet again. We've got the devil, this greed aspect of everything that Trump is admired in, and we've got the Five of Cups, the loss here. So, and one more card, justice always appears at the base of the pack somewhere. So I do believe that Pompeo is tethering his fortunes to this whole wider issue of why Trump is trying to get these sanctions lifted on Russia. Certainly he knew of the plan, but the way that it was expressed, the way Trump stumbled into it, and it is around quid pro quo, was something that Pompeo now is right in the centre of the storm. Okay, so that's Pompeo. We've got Kurt Volker appearing before Congress. He has ties, long-standing ties to Bush, McCain. He was the special envoy to Ukraine. He's really, as it appears, more of an old-school Republican that I'm picking up. He's a former CIA analyst as well, very early in his career. He's a former ambassador to, I think it was NATO. So this is back in George Bush's day, and he's been leading the John McCain Institute in Arizona. And as you know, McCain was a friend of Ukraine. So he's going to have divided loyalties. He doesn't want to see Russia move into Ukraine and Ukraine being vulnerable. He also probably didn't want to, I guess. He's a diplomat at the end of the day with Trump, with the president. But is there something more to Kurt Volker? And more importantly, is he going to talk to Congress? So that's what we're going to ask. Is he going to be forthcoming? Volker, the former CIA analyst, the former ambassador to NATO, all the structures. He's been round the block. And Trump, of course, is to a certain degree an anarchist. So against all of those institutions. So what's Volker thinking? Is he going to be forthcoming in his testimony to Congress? Is Volker going to be forthcoming in his testimony to Congress? Yeah, he resigned the same day that all this broke, and I do believe with this, this is a signifier card. Let's proceed with the reading. It is the truth. It's the ultimate truth. It's cleaving away the smoke screens, and it's getting right to the heart of the matter. That's the signifier card. What is challenging that is his role in all of this, and also his ties to the Republican Party. This could also be the challenge, which could be our three players: Putin, Saudi Arabia, the Trump family, shall we just say, Trump, Kushner, etc. This Three of Cups is coming up more and more. And we've had MBS, despicable person that he is, coming out and saying, I did not order the murder of Khashoggi, though as the ruler of Saudi Arabia, I will take responsibility for it. We've got Putin coming out and saying, do not release that transcript of the of our call. This sounds like some of these allies are struggling a little bit with the current situation, struggling with this sword of justice a little bit. Now, Volker would be aware of all of that. He's been on that stage for many, many years, for all of his career. Foundation of the reading is he's going to be juggling. He's got a lot of balls in the air. As I said, he's got a lot of conflicts. So let's see what's going to happen in his testimony. Justice, he's well aware of the wheels of justice and how justice might play out. This is what led to his resignation. That's interesting. Okay, what's in the sky? This is this Knight of Cups, an offer. I do believe that the Trump campaign, William Barr, etc., have gotten to Volker in some way. This could also be the Congress offering Volker something as well in exchange for his testimony. Now, what I mean by that, Volker knows if he resists the testimony, then he could be held in contempt. He's going to hold on to information in the at some point in time in the near future. This card is. It could also mean that he's very insecure about testifying. Okay, let's have a look. He's under pressure. Right now, the Two of Wands. He has some sort of plan, but there is a time aspect to it. Yeah. Trump and Barr, the lovers, they're both Gemini, Giuliani, etc., etc. They are getting to Volker. Okay, so they're talking to Volker right now, and we've got Russia. The fear always is that, or the hope and the fear to protect Russia, and on the other hand, the fear that the information as to the agenda. In order to lift these sanctions will come out. There is an abundance of evidence that Volker has as well. Okay, we've got the trade, the Three of Wands, the trade, the commerce, the expansion as the outcome card. This is what is going to bring information on. We've got the Ten of Wands. It's not going to be easy for him. He's already caught in the crossfire, but we do have this Ace of Wands here, suggesting that because these are wands, I feel that he's going to give over information for the higher good. What's going on at the moment? We've got the Four of Swords. This is a retreat. We've got the Knight of Wands. I do think this is the impeachment inquiry, and we've got the Ace of Cups, new starts. Okay, so that is sort of like the background. So in summary, I think Barr, Trump, whoever, have gotten to Volker before his testimony. Well, according to my intuition, I do feel at the end of the day he will hold back some information. He will be diplomatic about it because he is a diplomat. But I do feel that he will give some information. That Three of Wands is the card that has come up around the Ukraine issue since I started reading. I take it to be trade. I take it to be commerce, money, those that he may offer some part of the testimony that talks to perhaps the aid that was going to be given to Ukraine, and then that will allow investigators to put that together to sort of have that on record. So he's going to offer up some critical piece of information, but he's also going to hold stuff back. All right, Volker. Let me see. Now, I mentioned where were the senior Republicans coming out, apart from the clowns, and I included Leningrad Lindsay in that. God, he's abysmal, isn't he? Just abysmal. Such a weak character now is being exposed. Let's have a look at Grassley. I mentioned where were the senior Republicans coming out and going into bat for Trump? People like Chuck Grassley. Well, of course, now we know Grassley has come out on the side of the whistleblower and has said that Trump should leave he hasn't named Trump, but he's virtually said that the whistleblower should be protected, and that we should hear from him first before we make up our minds about whether he or she is credible or not. Grassley is the most senior Republican in the Senate, the longest serving member. He is the senator from Iowa, I think. So he's fairly senior. Okay, now so he's virtually come out, and what I find also interesting is Mitch McConnell made it known he would hold an impeachment trial. He had to hold an impeachment trial. So these Republicans at the senior level are not exactly acting as I would have thought they would have been acting, coming out and using the talking points like Kevin McCarthy, that clown, another one of the clowns. Let's have a look at senior Republicans such as Grassley, such as Moscow Mitch. I won't even ask about him, but let's just say the establishment Republicans. Where are they? What do they think about all this? Because I think that Trump burnt his bridges with them a long time ago. That's what I'm feeling. Where do these senior Republicans stand on this matter of the whistleblower? Where do senior Republicans stand on this matter of the whistleblower? They don't want their careers wrecked for Donald Trump. They are insecure about it, absolutely, which is why you're seeing this kind of little bit of tentativeness. What is challenging that is full exposure. Okay, so they're insecure about full exposure, which is why they're holding back a little bit. The world, they know the world is watching. They don't want to ruin their careers. They don't want to go down as perhaps protecting someone who approached a foreign government. They know that it is wrong, and this is it's because they've taken their corruption or their manipulation, whatever you like to call it, to the world stage. That is making the Americans very uncomfortable. Okay, so we've got in the past, this is domestic security and stability. So as I said, I think with some Republicans, Trump burnt the bridges a long time ago. There's also the economy coming in here. If the economy turns, that under these circumstances, you would have people coming to the White House with pitchforks. What's in the sky? This is the it's the secrets, but it's also an intuition. Grassley is a long-serving politician. There is an intuition, just like there is with you and me, an intuition that this is a bridge too far. Okay, the Nine of Pentacles. Grassley's going to act in his own interests in saying this, and the Republicans are too. The Republicans, now that's interesting. Let me bring the laptop down. This High Priestess here could be forewarning that the Republicans have their own game plan, which is separate to Donald Trump's. Right now, they're looking for balance. Okay, so there is this thinking that Trump is out of balance. They are looking for new starts. That's interesting, and they're worried. There's something else around this money, this income sources. There's something else that these senior Republican senators know that we don't know, and it's making them very, very insecure. Okay, it could be an imbalance in some kind of appropriation. There's something here. And the debt, the giving and receiving help in the hopes and fears. This is the ties to Russia. They're getting extremely worried about a democratic win. This can also suggest that they might be prepared to go as far as to take their support away from Trump, who is actually isolated and under investigation by the Democrats now. Yes, the King of Swords, the investigator. These senior Republicans, let's see what's at the base. They're retreating from this president. We've got the King of Cups energy, a more benign energy coming through. This could be some people see this as Adam Schiff. I see this as more than that. I see this as the King of Swords wields the sword of truth, and he is able to change the dynamic. And I feel that there is going to be this King of Cups coming through here, and the upward energy of defending this president is just, it's kind of over. So what I see here is that Trump has actually got some of these senior Republicans offside. They are insecure about his impact, not just on the domestic economy, but and the domestic security, national security with that Queen of Pentacles. They're also worried about his impact on the world. They're currently looking to redress a balance. They feel that Trump is a bit out of control, and he's out of control in relation to the Ace of Pentacles. They don't want to go down as after a long career of supporting someone who is potentially allegedly corrupt in so many ways. They understand the truth is coming out, and that Trump is under investigation, and there is not much that they can do about it. So they're going to be a little bit measured in what they're going to do for this president. Not so the clowns. I'll just call them the clowns, like McCarthy, Jordan, Gates. This is different. They're different from these Republicans. These are senior Republicans, stalwarts, and they are they're being very tentative about what they're going to do. I do feel that there is a beginning of a thought that the Republicans would be better off without this president and go into 2020 with someone else. That's really, I think, what is at the bottom of all of this. It perhaps hasn't come into to be fully formed, but I do think it's at the bottom of it. Okay, let's have a look. One last question at where's the Australian Prime Minister on this? Mr. One Seat Majority. Let's have a look at, he committed, I think, $150 million to the Mars mission, or supporting a future Mars position. We've now got Facebook pages coming up. As you know, Australia's in drought, Farmers Against Mars, suggesting that $150 million would have been better spent on assisting farmers and small communities and small businesses in drought. Let's have a look. What did Scott Morrison promise Donald Trump? He was feted with a state reception. What did Morrison promise Trump? What did Scott Morrison promise Trump? What was the subject of their call? Tell me, Spirit, about Scott Morrison and Donald Trump. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, there was this plan discussed about assisting William Barr. That's the plan. However, it's challenged by the Democrats in the House in the impeachment inquiry. So that's the signifier card. And this is where Morrison finds himself caught in the middle. The foundation of the reading is the King of Cups. So this is this new energy coming through that will also impact on Morrison, given his close ties to Trump. Morrison could have come across also as the King of Cups to Trump, patting Trump on the back. Yes, we'll support you. I'm a big fan of yours. This whole loyalty thing. In the past, Morrison was a bit overwhelmed by it all with this Eight of Wands. And here is the bombshell, the offer to Morrison and the offer. He made some sort of offer to Trump. It's also going to come out. It's all going to come out. Look, we've got this circles of support. He was well and truly on Trump's team. The Page of Pentacles, again, there was this money discussed as well. I think this was the $150 million, but there could be something else here. This was a bit of a fishing expedition in some way. The environment that has, this could be also the money that was withheld from Ukraine that Morrison probably wasn't aware of at the time. And we've got the Queen of Cups, the lid being taken off. And hopes and fears. I think Morrison has a little bit of a fear around any probing of that call. What happens if a transcript is released? Here we've got Donald Trump. He was well and truly in the thralls. Bit of a love affair there. He's going to have to defend himself because of that. I guess. What can I say? Capitulation to the emperor, to the president. Okay, there is going to be more coming out around that phone call. I think that eventually that will come out as well. We've got the Star of Hope suggesting that it actually will. There is going to be, when that happens, Morrison is going to have to face the music, and there is some sort of restriction in some way. How much did Morrison know about why Trump was wanting to debunk the special counsel's investigation. What was actually said on that call? Will we see a record of that? This is suggesting we possibly will. Is this going to cost? What are the average Australians? I have been asked to, as an Australian, I know this is getting to be a long reading, what do the average Australians think? What do the average Australians think about Morrison's love affair with Donald Trump? What do, we'll call it a political love affair, just for the record. What do, that was a bit nasty. Okay, what do Australians think about Morrison's political love affair with the President of the US? Okay, what do Australians think? What do Australians think about Morrison's love affair, committing of $150 million to the Mars mission, yada yada. What do they think? What do Australians think about Morrison's political love affair and the allocation of $150 million to Donald Trump, Donald Trump's mission to Mars, and generally political support for this president, Scott Morrison? Okay, we've got its endings and beginnings, but it's pretty significant. The world is watching. Now, Morrison addressed the UN on climate change to a virtually empty room. He's challenged by faction fighting. This is not only the opposition in Australia, but it's also perhaps some members of his own party. Perhaps his own members of his party. He's in a coalition with the National Party, who represent country people. The bombshell, the surprise news, the offer. So that's the foundation of the reading. Look, we've got some strategy that's not quite kosher in the past. This is the actual phone call. Morrison would have been better served saying this was an independent council. The independent council has made the findings, etc. But he would have been reluctant to stand up to Trump. But there is something there that we don't know about with this high priestess that will come out in time. It's making Morrison extremely insecure. Okay, we've got the King of Cups being the foundation of the reading. It's the impeachment. This is Schiff. This is the impeachment inquiry. Morrison is worried that a transcript of his calls and his undertakings to help is actually going to be drawn into this impeachment inquiry. A lot of people are very, very worried. And this is the environment that it has created. This is around this quid pro quo as well. And how this might draw the Australian Prime Minister into this, because, at the end of the day, we hopefully will see that call between Putin and Trump, which will flesh out the story even further. The hopes and the fears that he didn't make the wisest choice in doing what he did. This is a mercenary for hire, this Knight of Pentacles. And we've got Trump, doing Trump's bidding, basically. And we've got the Ace of Cups. He offered him something. He was, I guess, so many of the world leaders, Justin Trudeau, Emmanuel Macron, Angela Merkel, Theresa May, as much as she struggled as the UK PM, she did to a certain extent learn to hold the line against Donald Trump. Trump needed an ally in Morrison, and Morrison was more than willing. We've got a communication here, which is the call, I think, and we've got justice, and we've got Donald Trump, the merchant. There's a lot of information here that's likely to come out, and it's going to come out very, very quickly. The Australian Prime Minister's role in this will be scrutinised even further. And he knows it, and he's worried about it. According to these tarot cards, should he have stood up to Donald Trump like our former Prime Minister, which this Prime Minister deposed in a party room, backroom vote while he was a sitting Prime Minister? Should this Prime Minister have stood up like Malcolm Turnbull, the former Prime Minister, did to Trump? Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so he might have overplayed a hand. That's what I'm hearing. I'm going to leave it there at 33 minutes. I'm going to get on with my day. And once again, thank you for supporting the channel, and all the best. Have a great day. And look, just the energy I'm getting from these cards, there's a lot of people worried about the impeachment inquiry. If I would put a bet or odds on who has the higher ground here, the higher ground politically, morally, etc., it is the Democrats who are seeking to impeach over this particular latest. It's more than a scandal, isn't it? All right, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much. I'll see you later.